What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Too Much to Watch. I'm your host, Sean. Today, I'm going to go over another top 5 ranking today. May get a little controversial to some, but love to hear about what you think about my list and what your list is going to be. We're going to talk about my top 5 most overrated movies of all time. My overrated doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad movies. I got my list here. I'm looking at it. I generally like these movies, but my list tends to be like the hype was just too much on these movies. For whatever reason, they hit they hit this height of anticipation, or they were just box office like monsters. And to me, I just don't get it. I don't necessarily dislike these movies at all. I think they're fine. I don't think they're necessarily the movie, like the pantheon of movies, or like the top tier of this whatever genre they're doing. I think they're fine. I think they're fun. But the hype, for whatever reason, is just over the top on some of these. So I'll get into it. I don't necessarily have any honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions, if you will, related to this, but I'll just go ahead and get into it. My number 5 most overrated movie is Avatar. I, again, generally like this movie. I think it's a ton of fun. I think, obviously, they've made a land out of it, so it's incredibly popular at Disney World and Animal Kingdom. At that specific time in our lives, this was James Cameron top-tier technology. The visuals, the CGI on the avatars, the Na'vi, are incredible. I think it's a ton of fun of a movie. I just don't understand it. I don't understand what I'm missing. I think the acting is kind of okay. I never thought Sam Worthington is typically like an incredible actor. I think he's fine. I think he's serviceable in what he does. I don't ever turn a movie off with him in it. Zoe Saldana, we obviously know, is an incredibly talented actress. It's good to see her in that. But the writing is pretty just kind of normal, like subpar at certain spots. The material, or the minerals that they're trying to get is unobtainium. Like the writers forgot to make up a name of some substance, and just that's what they came up with was unobtainium. I think it's just generally it's a good movie. It's fun. I just don't, I think it's just the movie itself, the writing, the acting is just generally kind of a normal movie. It hit this, obviously at one point it was the biggest movie of all time. People were, I remember hearing reports and articles about people were crying and depressed when they left because they wanted to be part of the world. And, to me, it just was it's a fun romp of an action movie. I'll go and see the sequels whenever they come out, whenever Cameron finishes them up. I understand that he might be done with one of them, but we obviously know how movies are being made at the moment, and the pandemic is kind of hurting movie productions. But again, I'll be there. I'll be there day one to see that movie. I just don't quite get it. My number 4 movie, overrated movie. Bohemian Rhapsody. What an incredible performance by Rami Malek. I'll just go ahead and say that. Definitely worthy of the awards he received. That guy is an incredibly talented actor. Obviously, we're going to see him coming up soon in the new James Bond. Mr. Robot, as you well know, really, really talented actor. The movie itself is pretty just kind of standard. It's a standard movie, a musical biopic. You got, for me at least, I have to be a little more careful about movies that are produced by and written by, not say written by, but the movie was produced by the living members of Queen. So of course they're gonna they're gonna kind of wash some of those things and kind of make them a little cleaner. I think it's pretty much a general the excess got too much, and we obviously know how Freddie Mercury passes away. The music is phenomenal. Obviously, Queen. If you like Queen, man, what I remember sitting watching the movie first time with my wife and just wow, just how many hits that they do have. But the movie's pretty standard. It's a pretty standard biopic, or musical biopic again. I think I personally think Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic, was much better of a movie. I know they kind of took more of the musical approach, which I thought was interesting and enjoyable. I think Taron Egerton really knocked it out of the park. As far as Elton John goes, really the shining moment of Bohemian Rhapsody is both Rami Malek and the music. Other than that, it's pretty standard. The end of the movie is pretty great. The concert that they kind of go out on is pretty great. And when you kind of compare the two, the actual live footage to the movie, it kind of measures up pretty well. They really put a lot of effort into that. But again, the movie's pretty standard. And I don't necessarily thought it needed as much of a hype as it did. Obviously, Rami Malek did. The movie itself was pretty standard. Number 3, I'm going to hit the comic book movies here. My number 3 is Wonder Woman. This was really probably the first of the DC movies that were the DC Universe movies that really did a good job with the source material and the movie itself. Gal Gadot's really, really great as Wonder Woman. I thought the movie, though, really had this hype around it, and I think it may be more of finally seeing a real Wonder Woman on screen, and then, it wasn't Batman versus Superman, and it wasn't Man of Steel, although I like Man of Steel a lot. I think it's a very well-done movie. I don't think it gets the praise it deserves. But I think it wasn't those movies, so I think it was kind of the first time DC was doing something better. I wouldn't say different, but better. I do like it's more of a period piece movie than it is like a nowadays standard kind of Marvel, which I love Marvel, and not trashing Marvel here, but kind of with the biopic or the not biopic period piece movie we hadn't really seen since I guess maybe Captain America, the first Avenger. So I think they did a good job. I think it got way too much hype. It was way too oversold, at least to me. Pretty standard. I still think, even though that was as good of a movie as it was, I think Marvel just was hitting it out of the park with what they were doing, even though they're pretty cookie cutter in the way they do their superhero movies. I think this was just kind of on the same level, especially the third act. I thought I liked seeing more of the World War II stuff than I did necessarily like this massive battle at the end with another pretty much just a Marvel villain, and Marvel's kind of been known to have like some weaker villains, at least the movies do, not necessarily the comic books. But so Wonder Woman's my number 3. Entertaining, but I just thought it didn't deserve the hype it did. It was pretty standard. My number 2, maybe start with, well, maybe, yeah, the other ones could be controversial, but number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road. At one point, I think this was touted, and I'm sure that it still may be touted as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, action movie ever made. I do remember hearing that part, and my God, it is a wonderful movie. It's a great action movie. It is not the greatest action movie ever made. Great car chases. I know a lot of it was practical effects. A lot of it wasn't CGI, which is great. I thought to bring Mad Max back after all these years was an interesting choice. And I think they did a great job. I will absolutely see more. I understand they're wanting to do more, making more perhaps. I think it was a good choice having Tom Hardy, although he doesn't say much in the movie. But to call Mad Max Fury Road the greatest action movie ever made is just not true to me. I think you put Mad Max up against any of the John Wicks, but I'll just go with the first John Wick. Blows it out of the water. John Wick is to me one of the greatest action movies of all time. But then you're talking Die Hard, and you're talking a lot of other action movies. I think Mad Max Fury Road is great great car chases. There is some really, really good action in it, but the acclaim was just out of control for that one. I remember specifically walking into that movie with the hype and walking out going, it was really good. Do not think it was as good as advertised. So number 2 for me is Mad Max Fury Road. And number 1 with a bullet. And I've said this for a very, very long time. And this is the second James Cameron movie on my list. But my number 1 overrated movie of all time is Titanic. Again, probably the theme of this video is just I just don't get it. And this is truly the I don't get it. The Titanic going down again. This James Cameron was pretty much said in most interviews and most things he said, he definitely waits for when the technology of something he's trying to do catches up. That's why he doesn't make, movies every other year or every couple of years. He makes movies probably every 10 years or so. A James Cameron movie is kind of it's something to behold. It's something to get excited for sure, because he does put a lot of time and effort into the CGI, to the action, to this movie. Boy, oh boy, I was a teenager when this came out. To the core, it's a love story, which is fine. Wonderful acting, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet. The last, I guess, hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is, when the ship is going down, is intense, and you got a lot of acclaim that way, and obviously we could all still debate if he had room, which he had room. You should have let him on that raft. But boy, oh boy, it is to its core a love story, which is fine. Good movies, those can produce great movies, but just overhyped. Very much like Avatar to me. Great visuals, romantic to its core, but with the disaster of the Titanic behind it. But just again, another James Cameron that was one of the highest grossing movies of all time at one point again, and just people were seeing that. It's almost what is it, like over a 3-hour movie? People were seeing that multiple times in the theater. I was like, I got the one done. In my lifetime, I've seen Titanic one time. Not gloating, but I just feel like there are much better James Cameron movies. There are much better Leonardo DiCaprio movies, and really you're kind of going and seeing the end of that movie. But it takes a long time to go through the class system of where Jack's at versus Rose. The kind of inner workings of the love story. That stuff that could have been about a 2-hour movie for sure, to me at least. So very bloated, overhyped. But again, I don't hate it. I think it's a fine movie. But boy, oh boy, just overhyped. So that is my top 5 overrated movies. I would love for you to like and subscribe to this channel. I'd love you to jump in the comment section and let me know what you think about my list. I'm sure people disagree, especially probably with Mad Max and with Titanic. I know that's those are very highly debatable. But I'd love to hear from you. So thank you for stopping by today. I appreciate your time. Again, like, subscribe, comment about my list and what you think should be on there or not on there. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Peace.